Okay, I think it likes us. Let me just see. Yes, it does. Okay, good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining on this wonderful little Smudcast where we talk about the magical world of writing, in this case through the lens of David Benioff. And if you don't know who David Benioff, he was the co-creator of the Game of Thrones HBO series that did not end reasonably. Let's just say it did not end reasonably. So,
To put it lightly.
hard to describe. I didn't watch it because I heard the horror stories. I stopped watching about halfway through anyway of the entire series.
Well,
So
I didn't feel it was as bad as a lot of other people did, mainly because it didn't subvert my expectations. However, it did meet my expectations. I put it that way.
ooh, well,
Game of Thrones season 8 is the worst piece of media I have watched in my entire life. I will hold to that statement.
I don't know. After the ending of Mass Effect 3, I don't think nothing can top it. But if that's what you believe, I might have to watch the.
Mine's The Last Jedi.
Really?
It is the one piece of media I legitimately hate. The only one.
I don't like The Last Jedi either, but Game of Thrones season 8 was so dumb and so awful and so disappointing to me because I love that show so much, and to watch it crash and burn like that was a horrifying experience.
And so I'm just gonna repeat the meme where it's first time. It's just the Star Wars fans looking over at Game of Thrones fans, like first time your thing's been ruined.
That's a good movie, by the way. The Ballad of Buster Scruggs. That's a good movie. That's where that meme came from.
So this video is done by The Dragon Demands, which I believe Dunn wanted to do for weeks now. We're finally covering it. This guy is just doing the entire series of interviews with David Benioff and a bunch of others on Game of Thrones to see what happened.
Yeah.
So
Pretty much, yeah. And there's some funny stuff, like when they get asked by just a random fan at a Oxford Union panel, and she asked them, "So, why did you put in the rape scene of Jaime and Cersei? How did you feel like it helped the character?" And David Benioff just rattles off a rambling, incoherent answer that doesn't even answer her question.
How about because I felt like it? Next question.
You know what? Actually, he does say that. He said creatively it made sense to us at the time that it was something that he would do. And Lena Headey, it was just kind of becomes Cersei, and it was a hard day on set. It was a rough day, which is a blatant lie. They weren't on set. They were playing word games on their iPhone with the naked actresses who showed up in the Oberyn and Ilaria Sand orgy in an earlier episode.
Well, here's the thing. If you're creative, if you're a writer, if you're a comic book artist, whatever, don't ever bend the knee to pearl clutchers. Okay? You don't have to. Don't ever bend the knee to pearl clutchers. Just let them clutch their pearls, and you do your art. That's it.
Well, the thing is, that wasn't even supposed to be a rape scene. It wasn't written as a rape scene. It was incompetent filmmaking.
It's Game of Thrones. I mean, there's so much other stuff in there. You're just going to draw the line at rape?
Yeah. Well, kind of the thing is, it's just she just asks why I did it. She just asks why did it happen? She was like a little teenage, like a college student who's just asking
feminist.
She's clearly, well, I'll let you watch the clip sometime because I think she just asked because how she just asked she asked a really good question in terms of how did you feel like it affected his character arc. So I don't think that it was totally feminist. I think and it just kind of feels, and also just the problem is the director and the actors have said no, it was not rape. We were not asked to film it as rape. This is just incompetent camera work because you can't see her Cersei grabbing Nikolai from the back, grabbing Jaime from the back of the head, or wrapping her legs around him consensually. It's so incompetently filmed, and then he just totally screwed himself with his answer.
Well, yeah, I think it's stuff like that is the reason why credits like worked on Star Wars, wrote for Star Wars, wrote for Game of Thrones used to be, you know, they used to be compliments, but now they're more like you worked on porns, like you worked on pornography. So ew, gross.
Or you
Oh,
worked on,
you wrote for Star
Like,
Wars, you wrote for Game of
you
Thrones.
shake
Gross.
you shake their hand and then you just kind of like wipe it on your shoulders, like
Yeah, you
okay,
kind of and burn the shirt and
mm,
everything too. So yeah, it was like, hold on. Oh, you wrote for Star Wars and Game of Thrones. It's awesome. Let me put my glove on. I'll shake your hand. I can burn this later. No need to sign my autograph book. That's okay.
Yeah, so I don't really know much about David Benioff, and I really don't know the production of how this thing was put together. I think I saw maybe a 60 Minutes thing for 20 minutes about interviewing and how big the production was, how huge it became, and how long it took to make scenes. And this was all like second season stuff, so it was like, oh, okay, yeah, it's getting popular, it's getting big, and they wanted to showcase this, so they went to all these exotic locations, and they had all these crazy sets. I'm talking gigantic sets, and you expect that stuff from like a major motion picture, but this was like even bigger than that. This was huge. This went on for years. So they obviously put a lot of faith into these guys. They put a lot of, I don't know what kind of work they did, but they were working off.
They were novelists.
Right. So they just took what was there that worked, cut it up in little pieces that were edible, and then made it consumable for was it 45-minute installments for roughly
yeah, 45 minutes to an hour.
Yeah.
About 45 minutes to an hour.
Yeah, roughly. So, and I think the last season was 2 hours long or something like that each show or whatever. It was double the amount of size, but only 6 episodes or something like that.
2 normal sized episodes and 4 plus that 4 hour and a half episodes.
Okay, all right. So they did something, for whatever reason, they did something different in the final season. So couldn't tell you why. Don't know how these creative choices get made, but I would love to know why. But before that, we're going to learn a little bit about David Benioff as a writer.
There's actually, like, he does it very impulsively. Like, David Benioff will literally change things mid-production.
Really?
Yeah,
okay.
there are timestamps for the Dorn LiteratureDevil. You remember the Dorn subplot and how terrible it was, right?
Which one was that again?
The one where Jamie and Braun go down south.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that was filmed while season 5 was in the middle of production, was beginning production. Written and filmed while it was in production. I kid you not.
Was that when they were running out of books? I can't remember. Was it the 5th season?
That was before.
Oh,
That was
really?
before they ran out of books.
So they still had material. They didn't know what to do with it.
Yeah, they had 2 books left, and then they decided to merge 2 George R. Martin sized books into one season.
Wonderful! What a great technique they must be using to just delete pages. We can make this work.
They deleted They even changed things mostly so it could be a vanity project for Indira Varma because they like her as an actress. They admit as much in their commentary.
Was that the leader of the Snakes? I think.
Yeah, Ilaria Sand. Yeah.
Okay, I think I remember seeing a news article about that. I don't remember because again, I didn't watch past season 4, so I'm not sure. But okay.
You were lucky.
Really? Okay.
You got out rough. You got out
I
at the
didn't.
right time.
I didn't watch past season 4 either.
Yeah, once they killed off Tywin, I was like, all right, I'm done. That was it.
It wasn't that for me that I lost interest. Is that I just kind of, I only had like a certain amount of pirated episodes, and after those pirated episodes were used up, I just kind of said, oh, I'll just wait till I can get my hands on more pirated episodes, and then I just kind of forgot about it.
So
If I had like it, I guess I kind of forgot about it. Yeah, I forgot about the Iron Fleet.
I don't think she actually forgot about the Iron Fleet. I think the writers forgot about the Iron Fleet.
It's like, okay, let's have her sail this way, and it's just like, why am I doing this? I don't know why I'm doing this. Like, just turns to everyone's like, please stop! I don't want to do this. I don't want to sail it.
So that Tyrion is just awful. I don't know why they decided to just nerf Tyrion whenever he finally became right hand of the king or hand of the king.
Wasn't he supposed to be like really, really intelligent?
Yeah, he was supposed to be. He was good at this stuff. He was good at this stuff right when he was being his father's hand of the king, but standing in for his father. But when he's got his own position as hand of the king for Daenerys, suddenly becomes horrible because he's a filthy man, and he can't. They can't have a man like Tyrion showing up and being more wise than Daenerys. This can't happen.
Maybe he forgot about his intelligence.
Yeah, he forgot about his intelligence.
Honestly, LiteratureDevil, they don't even think like that. They don't care. They legitimately don't care.
So it's just terrible writing instead of just an agenda.
No, it's just idiocy.
Yeah, they are way stupider than any of us could have thought.
So they don't even have the excuse of agenda to excuse their weird actions. But they even said the other old lady said that she's encountered many stupid men or whatever it is, and men are dumb and all that stuff. They even said that right afterwards. And you shouldn't listen to these men because they're bad. Men are bad. Okay.
Yeah, that was in there. Problem is, all they really care about is nonverbal performances from the actors, and they believe that dialogue gets in the way, and they will actively cut dialogue.
That is the strangest thing I've ever heard. I know there's a lot of acting that does not involve dialogue, and it's stage production and all the things you do on the stage and how you act and how you walk and how you hold yourself, how you sit. Yes, very important. That's all about stage direction and learning where to sit and what to do when they tell you to. But that's not even half of the work. The rest is all delivery and emotion and motivation and all the other skills an actor needs to employ. So...
Oh, Dunn, I don't know if you've been sent it yet, but your helmet's done.
Oh, yeah, I saw that.
All right, I got to read a super chat, and we've been going on for about 10 minutes. Let's get started. This is from Connor Doherty. Thank you, sir. When you realize EA has a black division. Yeah, I was surprised by that as well. EA has a black developer game section in their massive empire.
Wait, race-wise?
Yes, a race division based off black people. It's fantastic.
They have segregation over there? That's weird.
Maybe it's a club. Maybe it's an after-work project. I have no idea. It's weird.
Okay, you're a regular developer. You go over here. Oh, you're a black developer. You go to the black wing.
Yeah, we give you money.
Of our building. So I guess where all the regular developers go. Oh, if you're black, you go to this other section. This is where all the black developers go in our building. That doesn't sound all that progressive to me. It sounds like segregation to me. Yeah,
EA wanted to really outdo all the other virtue signalers this week, and they had this giant blog post on their website, and they talked about the black division of EA, and you're like, oh dear.
Well, as long as they're separate but equal,
Yeah. We just give them more money. I mean, that's the only thing. All right, let's get going.
And now, when you move on to screenwriting, I've also heard you say you don't believe in structure whatsoever.
No, I never said that.
It's in print, my friend.
No. Let's make a wager for real on this one. How much you want to bet that? You're saying that I said I don't believe in structure. I will bet you $100 I never said that.
All right, let's go.
Okay. And here's what I actually said. I said I don't believe in the 3-act structure, or more accurately, I said I don't believe it's the rule that people make it out to be, that every good script has to follow a 3-act structure. So I'll take that money anytime.
He's talking about the structure that has to have a beginning, middle, and end.
Not necessarily, but the books that he's going to be...
but he's referring... But the 3-act structure he's referring to as the beginning, middle, and end.
Not necessarily. It can, but it can relate to stage, like Shakespearean 3-act structure. He could talk about books, trilogies. He could talk about many things. He's going to be talking about some books he loves that actually use 3-act structure, so I'm going to be a bit confused by what he's talking about. But hey, David Benioff, guys.
I read somewhere in an interview that you said something about that you've understood the importance of story. That your first novels were not so story bound. They were they were more abstract, and I thought it was very interesting and sort of mature thing to say that a lot of writers start out writing autobiographical notes, and then you become more and more interested in what you can use a story for. I mean, it would be interesting to hear you talk a little bit about that, how, in your eyes, what's a story useful for? I hope it's an understandable question.
Yeah, no, I think it is. I think that when I was a young writer, I had more of a, not disdain, but I kind of thought that plot was, and story was more something for genre fiction. You know, it's like it's fine for if you're writing a crime novel, if you're writing a horror story or something, but you know, I thought of many of the great literary novels that I really enjoyed don't have particularly strong stories.
Oh no.
Yeah.
No. Structure's just not for genre fiction. What do you? No, structure's for everyone. Okay.
Yeah.
It's for everyone. You know, just like how they want Star Wars to be. Structure's for everyone. No. What are you doing? No wonder you wrote season 8. I mean, come on.
When you talk about structure, there's really no difference between style and structure. Whether you have a structure before you start, and then you fill in the blanks or the mold of your structure, or you start with your techniques of sentence after sentence, and then you formulate a paragraph, and then a chapter, and then an act. Like it's your style becomes your structure anyway. So it doesn't matter how you approach it. You're going to end up where you started in the same sense. So it's a very strange thing to say. And when he mentioned, mystery stories have plot. It's like, well, of course they have plot. They need a plot. That's the whole point of the bloody mystery, is to figure out who did it. But
the thing is, on this particular thing, okay, there's a reason why I like talking about the pulp novelists, even though they're kind of looked down upon, like, oh, those are just trash novels. No, I like the pulp era and the pulp way of writing, not only because it's interesting, but because I view the pulp writers as the kind of the pioneers of the more tangible, the engineers of writing structure. Because before then, maybe it was more freeform. Maybe they had like some ideas on how structure went, but these guys, the American pulp novelists during especially during the Great Depression era, they really got into it because they had to. They had to break it down to actual functions so that they could do this consistently enough so they can make money and live. It's not because they're a scientist and just went into this sort of thing. They are very structured and very formulaic because they went into the actual minutia of what makes a story work and what draws people in to an ongoing narrative, because they kind of had to. They did this by necessity. So they wrote a story, got it published, see what worked, see what people liked. They tweaked a little bit. And I said this before, and I say it again now because it's relevant. That's how Conan the Barbarian became Conan the Barbarian. If you read the first Conan the Barbarian stories, it was more like he's king and he's dealing with some weird political stuff, and people trying to overthrow his crown. And he has a really cool backstory, but it's not the Conan that you really know. And then once Robert E. Howard got Conan to where he needed to be, to what we know Conan is. His stories as, he found the formula. It's Conan the Barbarian he searches some ancient ruins, he fights some weird Cthulhu-esque Lovecraftian entity, and he saves a very beautiful woman. That's the usual formulaic pattern of your typical Conan the Barbarian story. Why did that happen? Because it worked. It drew people in and intrigued people, and it got people reading and buying his books. That's why.
The fact that he mentioned plot is sometimes not, like, it's just this strange thing. It's like saying pacing doesn't really matter, or characterization doesn't really matter. It's like, what are you talking about? Like, what matters? Does the margins matter to you? Do like ink? Like, what is the thing that matters in a story?
Correct me if I'm wrong here, but Douglas Adams, he did the Hitchhiker's Guide, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so Douglas Adams was a pulp novelist. He was in there. Lovecraft, pulp novelist. So many of these big names that we now revere were at one time pulp novelists. It wasn't just Americans. It was kind of of a worldwide thing, at least in the Western hemisphere. There's a lot of pulp novelists. Where pulp fiction existed, there were novelists, and so many of our prominent writers that we revere today came from that era of pulp novelists that used structure for plot. And the very thing he is demonizing here is the very thing that got so many of these writers their very name, their legacy.
Yeah, that's why Game of Thrones got good, was because of its plot.
Maybe he doesn't know what plot actually means. Maybe he doesn't know all these literary terms, and he's just saying story and plot are like the same thing to him. I don't know. It's hard to grasp, because if you can take someone's work like George R.R., and he's a great writer, he can do amazing stuff. I don't know how he keeps track of all his things, but he does. And he makes lots and lots of words on the page, and everyone loves them. To take that and say, oh, this I get, because there's a lot to work with, and he just starts trimming the fat or whatever he considers fat and puts it together. Oh, this is juicy, this is sexy, this is violent, this is whatever. That might be good. And I think he just looks at that and says, okay, let's make a movie, or let's make a series about that. I think that's more the mentality, as opposed to, oh, this is why we like this character, because of their motivations and their goals and their struggles for those goals. Does he even care? Because that's all plot. That's the entire point of a character, is their plot. If you don't have a plot, you have a mishmash of scenes, like a slice of life, which like, okay, what's the focus of the story?
So they actually admitted in the Austin Film Festival interview that they did not boil down the books. They basically just focused on the scene that they were doing at the time, and just had all of like the scenes on post-it notes.
So what are you saying, Voice?
Oh, Voice, didn't see you there, sir.
Hello.
You're kind of quiet.
No. Yes, I'm fine.
You're very quiet, sir. Okay.
I'll try and turn up the thing.
All right. Well, thanks for joining. Glib is here. I didn't see or hear him at all, but thanks for coming in, Glib. We appreciate
Just kind of sneaks in.
Oh, how you doing?
it. Fine, thanks.
It's Batman.
Just sneaks in the room, very quiet. Okay.
Hello. Is that any better?
Thank you very much. That's much better.
Yeah, that's great.
So here's 2 super chats I completely missed. Sorry about that. Here's Mark in 3D. Clearly, he's a scholar of the Mystery Box School. I don't know. I think this is something else.
Oh,
no, this is something
awful.
else.
Is it bagel theory? Is it bagel theory? Is that what it is? Is he a bagel theorist?
So has anybody heard of the Anxiety of Influence book?
No.
Okay. So, according to David Benioff, the man we are covering, that is the only book of literary theory he has ever read cover to cover and internalized. Basically, what it is saying is, the only works of literature that are worth talking about or reading are things that are completely original and non-derivative, and that we are people, that us as writers are in this Oedipal struggle with the people of the past trying to get out from under them.
Wait. We're including Freud in this? A Oedipal struggle? What?
Anxiety. I kid you not. Anxiety of Influence is a weird book. And that is the only book that David Benioff cares about. And you'll notice at the end of this, where he brings in some of that thought process, where it just says, it just didn't seem right to us to do this specific thing. I won't spoil it, but I'll let you see for yourself. It's pretty asinine.
I'm not totally against the idea of going to a primary source. Like, I think even Plato and Aristotle were talking about Homer and how every one of his students were derivatives, like his work was derivative, which is fine. That's natural for a student to copy their master and what have you. But that doesn't mean every single iteration is going to be the same or a derivative. It's going to be something else. There's going to be some new spin, some new take, some new technique, some new grammar, etc. So,
That's
boy.
Exactly what he's saying. Like, even like the unique stuff, anything that is reactionary is derivative. Anything that is like pulling from something else is derivative.
that doesn't make any sense. But the thing is, it's actually a pretty easy way to pitch something nowadays. Like you say, it's John Wick, but on Mars or something. It's John Wick, but in Grecian times, like an old soldier comes out of retirement and fights off his government or whatever. It's Rambo, but in the future, something like that. What Star Trek kind of did. Is that all that sound? It's kind of derivative, but it has its own spin on it. There's nothing wrong with it, with you taking inspiration, or redoing a story, or putting your own spin on the story. In fact, we kind of covered this morning on Morning Nonsense, where the whole thing about Captain Marvel, the DC's Captain Marvel, well, the English or British writers lost rights to publish it and write it for them, able to write in that sort of genre for that character, and so they made Marvel Man, and then Alan Moore eventually made Miracle Man, and it's same story or a similar story to DC's Captain Marvel, but he put his own spin on it. It's kind of like if DC's Captain Marvel forgot he was Captain Marvel and grew up later and then remembered his powers. It's like that. But it's not something fresh, like fundamentally fresh. We're interested in it. It's a story without, the hero of 1,000 faces. That's why that exists. It goes into that. It's the new story, the new characters and developments and plots and where it's going this time that interests us. Lee Child actually goes into this and I explained this actually in my mystery box video, where it's how do you get your your reader really interested in what's going on, really paying attention to the tension is equivalent to what we do all the time, making food analogies. How do you get them to really be interested in tear through your book like there's no tomorrow? Well, how do you make your family more interested in your dinner that you're making? Well, you don't make a better cake, you don't make a better dinner, you just make them wait longer and they get hungrier. That's essentially how that goes. It might be the same story. And Lee Child, to his credit, I like his writing, but it's formulaic. He's like a modern pulp writer. Jack Reacher encounters a problem. He encounters bad guys. He solves the problem by the end normally, and that's it. But we are always interested because he does this formula. We are always interested in the new stuff, the new twists and turns, the new plot, and the tension he creates by making us wait for the answers to the questions he asked in the beginning of the book.
Oh. I posted the link to the video that talks about David Benioff and anxiety of influence and what exactly it says.
Thanks. I'll certainly check it out. So in regards to what literature was referring to, the concept of mystery or anticipating or wonder what's happening next, if you don't have a plot, if you don't have a goal for something you're striving for, if you don't have a reason or motivation for that goal, you can't have mystery. It's just a bunch of random stuff that happens with no guide. There's no anticipation. You're not hoping for something. You're not wondering what's next. You just, stuff happens, and then more stuff happens, and then here's another scene that happens. So you need to have some guiding force, some narrative focus, some dead body in a murder mystery, something that is an unknown. You can't just have a series of rooms you enter, and what's this? It's a blue room. Wow, it's colorful. Here's another. Oh, it's a pink room. What a story this is. This is silly.
Wow, what a story. Where's it going to go next?
Yeah. So slice of life is a whole other genre, and you could do slice of life stories. There's rules to that as well. There's structures to that. It's not just a bunch of random things happening. So, yeah, he's a bit scaring me right now, and this is just the first response.
Yep.
Hey, Shiny, I've got my my new profile image of a helmet.
Yes. I know. I've got them as well. I posted them in the Trooper's Den for everyone else to see.
What, you posted all of them? Yay!
At the moment, we've only got Dunn and Voice. But
yeah,
they look good again. She's a great artist, so I knew she'd do them well.
I'm gonna put it on now for the rest of the stream.
Okay, whatever floats your boat. It's totally fine.
Whatever floats your boat, whatever gets you goat, whatever floats your boat.
Whatever boats your float.
Whatever flies your ship.
Whatever digs your furrow.
Well, it's writing with a
This
plot.
conversation is much more interesting.
No, this is very interesting. It's just terrifying at the same time.
Yep.
All right, let's keep going.
I was much more interested in style and just, you know, the rhythm of an author's sentences and.
Let me just rewind that just to what he's talking about here. I sort of lost what he was going on about.
Many of the great literary novels that I really enjoyed don't have particularly strong stories, and it didn't matter. I was much more interested in style and just, you know.
Okay, if depending on your definition of style, as I said before, to me, style and structure are identical. One is actually writing in a certain way, and one is structuring your work or organizing your work before you write, but you end up doing the same thing for the other. So to him to say structure is not, I don't know, it's just plot is not relevant. It's like the most important part of writing is a plot, which is like your backbone. And to say that's not important and then to put style, it's like, okay, you are writing off the cuff. You're just saying what you feel, personal experiences, like the guy was saying. Some writers start that way. Like when you're a kid, you just start writing your life experiences like, I went to school and this happened. Fine. Great. That's a very rudimentary understanding of telling a story about stuff you know. Great. Not what you want to hear from a guy who's in charge of a major production house or writing of a giant novelization of George R.R.
Well,
Not at all.
they were honest. They actually bluffed their way through the interview with George R. R. Martin. Like, they've admitted this. Basically, what they did was they just puffed themselves up to act confident and just said, we can do this, even though they had never done anything for television or film in terms of writing, well, in terms of production, directing, how the casting process worked, how the costuming process worked, how any of it worked. And they've admitted this on at least 3 occasions.
Maybe he was
For
like,
some reason,
yeah, maybe these two guys were like anti-war. We really don't like war, but we really appreciate what George R.R. is doing here with war. It's very, very insipid, very interesting. How did you do that? Like, maybe you have to appeal to his better nature. It's like, George, yeah, we like California, nice place. We like left-leaning political ideas. Like, I don't know. Like, how did they get the job? I wish I could tell you.
well, they've actually talked about it in interviews. There's a little document, there's a few clips that Dragon Demands has.
I'd like to see that because half the time when I hear people explain how they got, like how I would get a job, it's very different than when I explain it. Like what actually happens, like my understanding of how it happened and what actually how you actually get jobs, I think is different.
Well, the way they describe it is they basically just said, we went to George, it was it's like that bluff where you think that you have a straight when you really don't, but we acted so confident that he ended up giving it to us. And they said, and George remarked, they said they would get behind the project and give us their full effort. And I want a faithful adaptation of the books, and they said that's what we'll do. Lies!
Okay, here's a proper super chat to back up our conversation. Non vitae Rex. So were the writers just lucky that the first 4 seasons of Game of Thrones were good?
Pretty much.
I thought they were excellent.
They had so much more to work with.
They were. The issue was George R. R. Martin was holding their hand, and then in season 5 they got drunk on power and decided we're just going to do a series of vanity projects. That's what the Stannis plot was. That's why so many bad things happened to him. It wasn't for any story reason. It was just to get Stephen Delane to make an angry face. Same with Indira Varma. Same with the changes to Sansa and Thea. Sansa's story arc. It was all to pull non-verbal acting performances out of them.
All right, this one I got to read just because it's strange. Zach, that isn't major. Thank you, sir. Met a producer working on Homecoming. All right, I think that's the Spider-Man movie? Okay.
Yeah.
Had a 10-hour meeting on where the engines on the plane should be. That's a really long meeting. Talking to a producer on Homecoming. Who are you, Zach? What connections do you have, sir? He said, who cares? It's a fictional superhero movie. We could fly him to Russia if we want. Oh, really? That's interesting. Doesn't sound very practical in this setting.
Spending 10 hours where the fucking engine should be, that after that, I would definitely say, who the fuck cares? Boy, fucking 10 hours. I don't believe that's what they all, like, for that 10 hours, they kind of only been talking about that.
But I mean, if he's so troubled, he maybe should move to making factual superhero movies.
Well, I still don't know how Batman arrived. Was in China or Taiwan to get that guy out of that building and then ship him all the way back to Gotham on a plane and then deliver him at the police precinct. And it's like, how long did this take? How much fuel do you have in your car? How did you get from halfway around the world? Sorry.
A few hours.
A few hours, yeah.
Well, there's a very logical answer, Smud. It's because he's motherfucking Batman.
Oh, yeah, okay. I actually like that scene because he plans it out. And like with the bombs on the window, and he knows that they're going to go there, and he blows the windows, and they take him. Oh, Batman plans stuff. Isn't it great when a plan comes together and it's Batman doing it? You're like, yes, perfect.
It's almost as if superheroes can plan things sometimes, and the writers actually remembered it.
Yeah,
remembered that fact for like at least one movie.
What is the beauty of Batman, aside from all the skills and dedication and need to control things? It's his planning, it's his intellect, it's his mind, and that was a great shot in the movie. So, anyway, let's continue.
The rhythm of an author's sentences and the characters, and I think at a certain point. And I'm not sure exactly when. I don't think there was any kind of like moment of revelation. It was just sort of a gradual process where I realized that the truth was, and especially I think the older I got, the stories that I really loved, or the novels that I really loved, really did have strong stories. And I think of Hemingway with For Whom the Bell Tolls, which is one of my favorite books.
Okay, so that was one of his favorite books. Okay, if you guys don't know Hemingway, he's a very particular author. And he writes, how would you describe his style? I know his techniques, but
he's very minimalist. I know him as a minimalist writer because that's kind of him. That's how his style is. But he's also very, very real, very raw in some aspects.
He doesn't like the Oxford comma. He uses the word "and" a lot, and it's like this and this and this.
Yes, I found that a little charming. I liked it. I kind of adopted it a little bit. But not but like other things. Yeah, he uses a 3x structure, believe it or not, in most of his books. The thing with that book, that particular book, it is one of the most boring books. Perhaps you've not the most boring, but every writer has like a bad book. This is like his most boring, stupid, silly book. I don't know if you've read it, guys, but this is a while ago. This is like when I was 15 or 16. I wanted to read some Hemingway. If you want to read Hemingway, there's 2 short stories you should read. The Hills Like White Elephants and The Old Man and the Ocean, I think, or in the Sea.
Yeah, and the Sea.
Those are the 2 great short stories of his. But his best novel is The Sun Also Rises. That's just fantastic.
Yes, thank you very much. That's one of my favorite novels of all time.
Yeah,
fantastic.
Like, he's a great author. The problem is that For Whom the Bell Tolls is so bad. I don't know how to describe it. Like, there's so much shit in there that, like, first off, it's the slowest, most boring novel you could ever pick up. It's just like stuff happens, and then stuff happens, and it's like then they go to the next person. Stuff happens. It's like a slice of life, then a slice of life, then a slice of life, and you're like, wait a second, aren't you a military guy? Why aren't you blowing up your bridge? What's wrong with you? Like, that's the whole plot, is to blow up a bridge. It takes 75% of the novel for him to actually decide to do that, and it's just like so slow. So the pacing is one thing. If you can even get through the first 30 pages without boring yourself to sleep, but there is this unnecessary exposition on like stupid details, like the day-to-day for every single character. And there's no reason to have all this exposition and like people call it world building. But do you really want to know what this guy thinks of every single woman he crosses? Like, oh, this person has really nice tits, and this person is a beautiful lady. And it's like, why do we care? This guy likes women. Fantastic. He's a guy. He had blood coursing through his veins. What else do we need to know there? He has like weird censorship things. Like instead of saying fuck, he says muck. Like in his
the Spy Kids thing where they go, "Oh, shiitake mushrooms."
It's ridiculous. Like he self-censors himself. Like instead of like saying it, like there's even worse words than fuck, he'll say the characters were literally having dialogue. Obscenity you instead of fuck you, obscenity you, or I'm gonna obscenity down your throat, or I'm gonna obscenity. Like he uses the word obscenity. I don't know if that was an editing thing or if that was a I don't know. He's crazy. I don't understand. Like you just read this, you're like, this is strange. What is going on?
It's like when YouTubers will, censor swear words, but they'll still swear, and you're like, you could just like take 2 steps out of this 3-step process and just not swear at all, and then you don't have to edit through and change it anyway. So you could just like change the words you're using in the book, so you don't have to, invent new bullshit to get around it.
Oh, it's just like how okay. There's more I could talk about. I'm gonna read you a quote just because this book is so. It's like I remember how bad it was. Okay.
Well, I'll say one thing for
Fantastic.
swearing, because I think it can sometimes add to the world a bit more if you have swearing that's specific to the world. For something like in Star Wars, there's Carabast, or in Red Dwarf, there's Smeg, and it can, while not having actual. Well, it's mostly in the context of Red Dwarf, it is the same as saying fuck.
Well, this was
It's the same equivalent.
technically a period piece in the Spanish Civil War.
All right, then there's no excuse for that. But
No.
like, in terms of fantasy or sci-fi, I think.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Having something else as a swear word would have been fine, because like, why would aliens or a fantasy society use fuck, shit, cock, wanker, fuckwit?
Okay.
Marmite.
I'm going to read a short paragraph, but this is how he writes, just to see how great of a writer he is. Robert Jordan saw them there on the slope, close to him now, and below he saw the road and the bridge and the long lines of vehicles below it. He was completely integrated now, and he took a good long look at everything. Then he looked up at the sky. There were big white clouds in it. He touched the palm of his hand against the pine needles where he lay, and he touched the bark of the pine trunk that he lay behind. He was waiting until the officer reached the sunlit place where the first trees of the pine forest joined the green slope of the meadow. He could feel his heart beating against the pine needle floor of the forest. Like he just talks about pines and pine needles and all this stuff for like painting a picture constantly. It's like, yes, pine trees, we get it. He's in a forest. Yes, go down. Like it's constant detail. You're like, oh. And he's trying. This is the scene where he's about to blow up the bridge, and he's waiting for the guys to get to the bridge, and you're like, okay.
He's trying to pull like a Franz Kafka. Gregor Samsa said woke up to find out he turned into a bug, and then Kafka goes on to describe the room and the paintings and stuff like that. Which I like, because it actually does work. It builds up the tension, like, okay, getting back to the bug thing. But I think he's trying to do that. He's trying to do it, pull the Franz Kafka.
I guess, but if you want to read a story about the Spanish Civil War, read for whom The Sun Also Rises. The third act has a little interlude in Spain. I can't remember. Is it San Sebastian or something?
Running of the Bulls, that part.
Yeah, no, it's part of it. So that would be more entertaining, at least. And
Oh yes, he was on top of his game in Sun Also Rises, way on top. He's like refined Hemingway, peak Hemingway. And
Hemingway is he's a man's man. He loves smoking and drinking and women and all that stuff. So he's very straightforward. But that technique, he actually, I don't know if he coined it. It's called the iceberg technique, where he tells you the surface level of things, and it's up to the reader of the audience to figure that out. And that's what I love so much.
That's why I know about the minimalist. That's why I like him. That's why he's one of my favorite writers, because it's he really influenced the way I write in that manner. It's like you give them what is going on, and then you give the reader just enough stuff so they can could make the connections on their own as to what's happening beneath the surface. What led up to that particular incident, or what's going on behind everything. So he kind of uses actions, like facial expressions sometimes, or little body movements to give you an indications of how things are going.
It's great. Yeah, no, that's why you read those 2 short stories, and it's such a beautiful way of telling a story without constantly expositing on it, like he did in For Whom the Bell Tolls. I don't need to know the description and location of every pine needle that the guy is sitting on. It's just ridiculous. So, yeah.
It almost sounds like the same problem J.R.R. Tolkien had, where he's described all these plants and.
Yeah, it's part of it, but Tolkien wrote a heck of a lot as well, and it was everything.
He was very verbose. He was a maximalist, I think.
Yeah. So, anyway, so, Whom the Bell Tolls. I dare anyone to read it if you really want to have a crazy, ridiculous storytelling time of a man obsessing. All he does is talk about tits and pine needles and blowing up a bridge that takes too long to get to. So, yeah, great story.
Melville with Moby Dick or
okay, Moby Dick, I'm with you so far. Yeah.
Or even like the older ones going back, even like the Shakespeare. There's always a great story, and there's always
the Shakespeare. Can you give us a little illumination on the Shakespeare?
One thing I know about Shakespeare, there's no structures in Shakespeare. It's just a rambling mess.
The Shakespeare. What, are we talking tragedies, comedies? Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, he frequently doesn't elaborate, and when he does elaborate, it's asinine.
You know that guy who was the spokesman for No Man's Sky? I'm getting those kind of guys.
Really?
Something I can't remember his name now. It's buggering me that I can't remember his name.
The guy with the beard.
He ended up being a hero, but when he was before all that,
Sean Murray.
Sean.
He kind of started rambling speeches and answers and stuff. Like, yeah, that's going to be in there. Yeah, that's going to be in there. It's going to be. We're going to have this and this and this. That's what kind of reminds me of. He's just naming things. I'm not even sure if he knows what these things are. It's kind of like when we watch a Last Jedi Defender. They name all these philosophers that they've clearly never read or something like that. Yeah, that's the guy.
Why are there so many fuckwits which have the same name as me? I don't like it.
It's the same guy. the same guy. It's the same guy with less hair.
Now I'm reminded of that crazy glitch in Heavy Rain. Oh, God.
There you go. People listening, do not listen to anyone whose name is Sean. They are like
Heavy Rain is an interesting game. Heavy Rain is a very...
It's not a game. It's more like an experience with your controller.
What a modern thing to say. What a postmodern thing to say. It's not a game. I didn't make a video game, okay? I made an experience.
I redefined how you use the controller to walk. It's like, thank you.
You get out of here.
That sounds like something that Pon guy would say, whatever his name was.
Oh my God! Don't bring. What was his porn story? Whatever the hell.
Porn story games? Like I don't know. Porn games or something. I guess. Is he in league with Tim Pool? I don't know.
It sounds like something he would say. I didn't design a game. I designed a way of life. I reimagined the controller by sticking it up my own ass.
I create real games.
What a cunt.
Yeah, David Cage, the auteur of video games. Okay.
Narrative engine that's driving the story forward, and it's kind of like this an internal propulsion that's leading you forward. And without that, too many books I think start to feel like very self-indulgent to me, and
okay, he's describing plot or the reason why anyone's doing anything, and he doesn't like plot.
Also, he's contradicting himself
Yeah.
very, very heavily. Like he said earlier, he didn't see story as that useful, but then, like he just said, because I love a lot of books with strong stories. It's so weird.
He's rambling through. Like, he's not sure. There's nothing wrong with not knowing literary terms and being a writer. There's nothing wrong with that because writing is its own discipline. Analyzing stuff is its own discipline. That's totally fine. But if you are this kind of guy working on something, you got to know what you're talking about. You got to have some clear words and why are you doing what you're? How did you get where you are? Is it all just luck and chance? Is that it?
Pretty much. Also, his daddy owns Goldman Sachs.
Oh,
He's very rich.
Jesus. Goldman Sachs. Holy shit.
So, peak, what does he have? Does he have affluenza or something?
Yeah.
Peak, spoiled rich kid. Just telling him that he never had to grow up and think that and learn that he doesn't know everything. You know that old saying, "I'm not young enough to know everything." Like, it's that. When you get older, you know that you know hardly anything. The more you learn things, he never learned that lesson or something.
Yeah,
like, I'm not creating a story. I'm creating an experience.
Yeah, so it is totally possible because his dad, David Benioff, David Benioff's original name was David Friedman. He's the son of Stephen Friedman the CEO of Goldman Sachs, and there is a very good possibility that his daddy bought him into Game of Thrones because he was good friends with Richard Plepler, the CEO of HBO at the time.
Like, you guys don't know what Goldman Sachs is. One of the not probably not the biggest, but one of the biggest investment banks in America. We're talking multi-billion dollars.
Yeah. I think Anomaly Inc. put it best when he said that assessed David Benioff and D.B. Weiss as a glorified, useless secretary and Daddy Warbucks' weasel-faced son. And literally, this guy comes from a multi-billion-dollar family. He is loaded. He basically slummed it through college, just got a literary degree, sold the movie rights to his first novel, 25th Hour, before it was even published, and that's how he got published. It was after he sold the movie rights. It wasn't even published when he sold the movie rights.
Okay, let's keep going.
He's so rich that we're all into. I could see him just saying, "We're all in this together." That's how rich he is.
Oh dear. Did he actually have? I don't know. Did he have a production company that has a Twitter handle or an Instagram? He's just.
Did he put some black boxes?
Yeah, they put some black boxes up there.
There. I put up a black box. I've ended racism single-handedly. Does he have one of those? These people are horrible.
Ultimately a little bit empty, because the whole reason that we read, the whole reason I think that we enjoy fiction, whether it's in book form or movie or whatever else it is that desire to hear a story told. And it's whether it's going back to ancient days where we were sitting around campfires listening to someone tell a story at all.
Okay, that's not the reason. You don't listen to stories to hear a story told. You listen to a story because it's going to be entertaining for some reason, and there's something to learn.
As Neil Gaiman says, story should be about something, but that he means you should be able to take something away from it, some entertainment, some lesson, which is usually what stories are to be, lesson or some inspiration or something like that. Ultimately, maybe they have stories that range from, here's a cool guy who did some amazing thing, grow up to be like him, or here is a story about a cautionary tale. Do not do this, kids, or you'll end up dead. That sort of thing.
It's kind of like saying, I'm going to go see a movie. I don't know what to see. When you get to the theater, I just want to see a movie. There's no particular reason or thing I'm interested in. I just want a story to be told to me. It's like, no, that's not why you go to anywhere. You want a reason, a particular story you want to have, or a particular experience you want to have, not generic movie time day. That's not, you're wasting your time. You're wasting your money.
Yeah, it's that sort of thinking that brought us the concept of disposable media, like the movie you just watch once, that's made for just right now, like this time, this one snapshot in time, and then to be tossed away later. Like it's a movie about how Trump is evil or something. It's fine now, but what about a couple of years from now? Is this going to be disposable? That's the mindset that gives us the idea that we should make comic books that are just pertinent for the day they come out, and then you can throw them away forever, because they've actually had that idea before. recently. I'm not sure if it actually went into production, but that was one of the things they were saying.
It's a strange thing to, as a reason to want to read a book or see a movie or play a game. It's like, it's a game. It's like, that's not that's not why you play games.
Back to the oral tradition, and those people telling stories thousands of years ago were not saying, today I had these thoughts about blah blah blah. They were telling a story, like maybe it was about a hunt, or maybe it was about like a battle between the two tribes, or about the anger of the gods. But there had to be some story, and I think if there's not a real story at the core,
I don't know what he's talking about.
This is what he does. He is cold reading.
He's completely right. When you're telling a story, you need to have a story to tell.
It's
usually that's a good idea. Yeah,
I don't know. It's just so dumb. It's just like when you have a car, that means you're in the car. It's like yeah, you're right. What are you talking about?
If you're driving the car, that means you're using the car to get somewhere.
Yeah. Why, sir? Why do we listen to things? Why do we read things? Tell us.
It's not like one of those fake stories, like, Game of Thrones Season 8.
Yep.
It's like one of those oral traditions about someone hunting, there's no real reason. It's like, what's wrong with that? Tell us why. Did someone die? Like, what? Oy.
Yeah.
It tends to seem a little bit masturbatory to me. So I became more and more interested. And
okay, every time I've written or writing, it's not an act of pleasure. There's some pleasure to be had when you write, but it's tough. It's hard. You have to think. You have to plan it out. You have to write words out, and you say to yourself, "Is this any good?" And then you second guess yourself, and you delete the whole paragraph. Masturbatory is not what I would call writing. Maybe it is for other people.
It is when you're an SJW. It is when you're an NPC. That's all. It's disgusting. I've seen this so many times. This is a constant element of the writing. It's a self-masturbatory nonsense the entire time. Have you read Gotham High? Don't. I'll just tell you what it is. It's self-masturbatory nonsense. Okay, it's masturbatory nonsense from page 1 to the very last page. It's horrible and disgusting, and hilariously so, though.
Yeah. But at least Gotham High had no dignity to begin with. Game of Thrones is at least a dignified show for the first few seasons, and then it torpedoed itself.
And it's true that you have to have some sort of desire to write, so you actually, this is an idealized reality I want to talk about, I want to put down on paper. It could be a power fantasy. It could be like, I can't wait to write about my magical kingdom I just created. Yeah, those are all great, like, I guess you can call them masturbatory experiences. But actually making that any good is like, now I actually have to try. I have to think about things. I have to think about characters and why they're there and what this world is and flesh it out and make rounded characters. You can't just go, I can't wait to have explosions in my magical kingdom with magic. It's going to be awesome. Like, no writer does this.
Yeah. So there's actually a bit of it. So Dragon Demands actually has a video entitled David Benioff Thinks Brown Women Are Hot, utilizing quotes from the man himself and his writing.
Okay.
And part of it is a section of his book that he reads aloud of David Benioff's book that Dragon Demands reads aloud. And it is so weird and creepy. It is so weird and creepy.
You mean his fetish is not disguised?
Nope. Like, he says the word ass, I think, like 12 times in the course of 5 paragraphs.
Must have been some good ass.
Is that like Robert De Niro fetish? Like he just loves the dark meat side of females? Is that?
He likes ambiguously brown women specifically.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah, like he just says, like, he just doesn't know what ethnicity they are because they're brown, and so he's like, maybe she's Thai or Filipino or Mexican or something.
Remember the episode of Family Guy where Peter or he starts writing erotica, and he titles one of his books the Mexican girl, or maybe some kind of Spanish, something like that.
That's actually an analogy he brings up.
What?
That actually that's actually an analogy Dragon Demand brings up.
Oh.
And I think also, I lost my train of thought, but he is also kind of, there's a story from the episode Battle of the Blackwater. Neil Marshall said, so during the thing, one of the producers said, there's not enough nudity in this episode. Please insert this specific prostitute who is ambiguously brown into a nude scene. And Neil Marshall was like, "What? Why?" And then the producer was like, "It's fine, dude. Just don't worry. Most of the other producers are in for the story and the characters. I represent the perv side of the audience."
Okay. I mean, there is an audience, obviously, for that, but that's bottom of the barrel style of appealing. Okay.
I kid you not. That is the quote that Neil Marshall gave, and I honestly believe Neil Marshall since he's a professional, and that's just too crazy to make up.
Okay, all right. That's, again, barely veiled fetish of the writers.
Yup.
Not something we really needed to know.
Well, it's good to know where he's coming from, just not like that, yeah.
Follow your dreams, just don't follow them that hard.
Also, a degree of snobbery in me when I was a younger writer because I wasn't very good with story. I didn't know how to do it, and so that's why I dismissed it. Because
how could you be a snob and not be very good at something?
I can't believe you just said that.
Now you see why I wanted us to cover this.
It's
now
like
you see why.
I'm a food connoisseur, but I can't really taste things. Like, I smoke too much, so I don't know how food tastes. But I'm a food connoisseur. I'm a food critic.
I told you this would be a rabbit hole.
Can you imagine a guy on a skateboard? I'm so badass. And he does a trick and he like breaks his leg.
And then shoots himself in the head because he's so incompetent.
Okay, I don't know where this personality is coming from, but fine, all right.
Story is something that I don't think any writer, or at least very, very few writers, are born with an instinct of how to do it. You might be born, there are certain poets who are wonderful poets at a very young age, but there are very few narrative prodigies because it's a craft, and you really have to learn how to put together a story, and it's and it takes a long time, I think, and it's difficult. So,
and it's something
I
you
became
never
more
stop
interested in this,
learning.
and one of the things when I got those rejections.
No, I don't think it's something you ever learned.
Rejection letters from all these publishers for that second book, and there was when I read them, there was actually a common theme in many of them, which is that we like the writing and we like the dialogue, but the story, there isn't really much of a story. There's not much of a backbone to this narrative that you're telling.
Okay, so this guy is so focused on story, he doesn't like plot, and all the publishers are going, "Yeah, we don't have a backbone to all your stories." Do you see what he just he just explained himself right there?
Isn't plot the story anyway?
It's not the story is everything, right? So the plot is kind of the connective tissue between the scenes.
It's just a sequence of events, really.
Why you're doing the thing you're doing, why the character is going through all this trouble, what their goal is, what their motivation is. And he's saying, I don't like plot, and all these publishers are telling him, where's your plot?
It's coarse and rough, and it gets everywhere.
It's like, I can totally see Benioff being the kind of person who, like, comes up with a scene in his head, like several scenes, but he has no idea how to tie them all together. To make them like a logical sequence of this scene to this scene to this scene. But he has these scenes individually. It's like the scene of Varys burning is impactful, but he's fucked up how to go from A to B Danny burning the city. It's like, yeah, well, that's an impactful scene, but you fucked up trying to get there.
It's the equivalent of saying, I don't like alcohol, so I wanted to become a bartender one day, and all the restaurant owners said, you don't know what you're doing with alcohol. You don't even like it. And he,
I don't like pouring drinks, so I became a bartender. I don't like customer service, and that's why I started waiting on tables.
Yeah. It's like, wow. What a horrible job to run into if you're not good at customer service.
I'm just slightly OCD about how I set the tables up before dinner.
I don't like cars, so I became a sports driver. Never won any races, kept crashing. Didn't go very fast. Oh boy. Okay, super chat, DB, DU5L, thank you, sir. Benioff kind of forgot about storytelling. I don't think he ever liked it. I don't know if he forgot it or just said, I don't know, it's not my thing, but I'm going to do it anyway.
So you're aware of the meme Danny kind of forgot, right?
Sure.
Yeah. How can you not be?
Yeah, that's the only justification he had for the Iron Fleet sneaking around Dragonstone and just sniper shotting the dragon.
Oh yeah, we know.
From several hundred miles. That's the only explanation. And he just looks like a sulky. He just looks like a sulky face.
You cannot convince me that this is the face of a man when you say, hey, let's talk about storytelling, and he pulls this face. This is not the face of a man who is passionate about what he does.
No.
It's like a burden on him. He's like, oh, storytelling, damn, I gotta talk about this shit.
I go, Benioff, tell me about your creative process, and he immediately goes into this expression, and then I just go, ooh, that was a bad subject.
Yeah. He's not feeling too comfortable right now. Even though he has his fan blowing on his chest. I don't know what's going on there in that scene. If you zoom back out, rewind the video. It's like he's in a hotel room and there's like a fan going across his chest to like cool him down.
Yeah.
And they were right. You know, they were really right about that. And so when I came up with the idea for 25th Hour, part of the reason I was drawn to that story was it takes place in a very compressed time frame, and you know, it's all basically over the course of the last night of Monty Bergen's freedom, and because it was set in this one night or one day, but mostly the one night. It sort of forced me to concentrate on story, because it wasn't, as opposed to, you know, telling a story that takes place over 30 years or writing a novel that takes place over 30 years. It was all happening at once, and it really it kind of imposed a certain structure onto the book that I was having a hard time to find before. So
I'm just going to say something quickly about Hemingway. That novel, Whom the Bell Tolls, it's 400 pages. It takes place over 3 days.
Yeah, not the best Hemingway book.
No. We love Hemingway, just not that one.
Yep.
Yes. Again, very long-winded answer.
There's the great I.B. Singer line where he said, when I was a child, they called me a liar, and now they call me a writer. And I think it was for me the same, where I was kind of a pathological liar as a child. And when I was in second grade, we had an assignment in class
as a child,
to write about what our father.
So you're a sociopath. Okay, thanks.
You know, I was a sociopath when I was a kid. You know, we were out of it. You grew up a sociopath.
I can't. I can't.
I don't think I can either.
I told you. This man's brain is a weird place.
I had no idea you could grow out as a sociopath. That's amazing. That's great. I like it.
Well, he's a medically diagnosable. He's not a sociopath. He's a narcissist.
That's one of the elements of being a sociopath.
A lot of the elements are dissociation from people. Another is a lack of tells when you lie. He has a lot of tells. Another is
no compassion.
No compassion. Yeah. No emotion. That sort of thing.
Yeah.
He does have emotion, and he does feel things. He hates being questioned on stuff. And he's very, very impulsive. Like, he literally believes in this book called Blink that's basically believes, but he twists it to his own meaning, which is to say that he used it on Game of Thrones to say, give me your instant blink response for this particular thing if you're an expert in said field. And then if somebody says, oh, I kind of would like to research that, and he's like, no, just give me your instant blink response.
What does that mean?
The instant, whatever comes to the top of your mind, instantly.
And if I look at it and go, that's dumb, what does he do?
He says, try again. Like, so...
Give me the answer I want.
No, try again.
So the example that they used was how they got the musician, Ramin Djawadi. Basically, they had their music guy say, they asked their music guy, hey, we want your instant blink response on who would be the best composer for this. And he said, Ramin. And he said, so he was busy at the time, so we have based ourselves, sent him flowers, gift baskets, all kinds of things to try and convince him to be on Game of Thrones to start off. And then he just was the composer for the whole series. But initially, he wasn't attached. They got him like midway through production.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Here's a super chat from Rem Never. Thank you, sir. Hey guys, I was just tuning in to see your racist, bigoted opinions, aka common sense rooted in rational thinking. Lol. Cheers. Yeah, I've been getting a lot of feedback from my reporting on the game companies and other companies being very woke and virtue signaling, and how I'm critiquing that, and people don't like that because what's wrong with saying Black Lives Matter? Because it's inherently racist. That's kind of the point. We don't know if the crime was a racial crime. It was simply a cop being overzealous, and we call that police brutality. So if that's
we're all reactionaries, remember? Like whatever that means, we are that.
We can't see people as people. It has to be a black. Oh, you have to pay homage to the black man. You know, bad stuff happened. You gotta say stuff. But, all lives matter. No, you can't say that. You gotta say Black Lives Matter first. Then you might be able.
It's kind of hard to differentiate if the man was racist or if the man was just a dick.
I think he was being under pressure, and he was overzealous with his job and wasn't paying attention to what he was doing, and voila, we have a dead man on the ground.
He could be racist.
He could be.
He could just be or he could just be a horrible person who, thought he could do this, and, no one would bat an eye.
Right, and I understand the outcry because of the history of racism in the States, but I think we're past that. I think we're past this issue of systemic racism. So this is going to happen for the next few months. It's not going to go down anytime soon, and it's pretty much America. It's always racism or politics of some other stripe that is an issue. So I'm glad though that people are actually congregating in public and not scared of getting sick.
Yeah, what happened to the COVID-19 thing?
Yeah.
It kind of just went away. I guess it packed its bags. I guess it's done. Some people are done with the COVID-19 thing. It's as long as there's a need for riots or whatever, then I guess the COVID-19 kind of said, okay, we'll hold off. I'll hold off infecting people. That's fine.
It's kind of funny because in Europe, it's sort of still the thing that everyone's focusing on. It's like America's got bored and gone off to do a side quest or something. And it's like Europe's going, okay, COVID's at
America's also
like it's been all week, and we go, yay, and then like at the news guy just goes, yeah, the deaths have gone down since last month. Also, America's doing some bullshit at the moment.
America's gone up.
Isn't it always the follow-up line? Hey, here's some news over here. We got some new buildings being constructed. Also, America's doing some nonsense over there.
Yeah, by the way, America. Now let's take a look at America. We'll turn to our US correspondent in Washington to go to him, and he just goes there in front of the White House. He's just like,
everything's on fire! Oh my god, there's people dying everywhere. There's people on the street. Everyone's coughing up blood.
Yeah.
It's terrible here. Let's send me home.
And then the riots happened.
Yeah.
And then we go back to the studio. It's like, so same as last week, Jeff. You go, yep.
It's worse because there's now people rioting in the streets and they're all trying to kill each other. No one knows what the fuck is happening.
The main racism I focus on is the fact that Hispanics in America are kind of ignored until election day, and that's it.
Yeah. Everything that's an issue in the world is like multiplied in America by like 3 times. So if you think it's crazy in Canada, it's like, no, it's insane in America. We have incompetent people. They have crazy incompetent people, whether they're in power or not. So it's kind of scary. At the same time, it's amazing news. It's like, wow, what are you guys doing? You killed like 60 people. That's insane. How did you get away with that? People got guns. They can do that. So it's tragic at times. It's sad at times, but it's always entertaining. So whatever's happening.
Canada and Britain are just we're just kind of over here, just kind of watching the fire burn with popcorn.
Mm-hmm.
Not quite knowing what's happening. It's like, hey, you know what's happening over there? It's like, I don't know what the fuck's happening. They're just on fire.
We in England recently raised our alert level from miffed to slightly peeved.
Yeah, but you're still drinking tea, so everyone's happy. As long as you don't run out of your tea, everything's cool. Everything can chill out.
You switch to the dark. You switch from the sweet tea to the dark tea.
It's the moment the tea's gone, no mass panic. The world is in danger.
Oh, that's when Britain starts building battleships. Like, wait a second, we got to get some more tea.
Well, one thing Americans have been historically good at is ruining British tea parties.
Certainly, like as soon as we run out of tea, like the fucking battleships like gear up and everything. It's like, I smell tea in that country.
Time to invade Africa, pretty much. Yeah. All right, David. Yeah, David Benioff. Let's get back.
When I was in 2nd grade, we had an assignment in class to write about what our father did for a living, and I said he was a submarine commander, and the teacher thought this was really suspicious since we lived in New York City, and there probably weren't that many submarine commander fathers in the class, and called in my parents to speak to them about their son, the liar.
Wait, what? It's like, wait, your parents really care? Like, your teacher fucking called in your parents because you said your dad was a submarine commander?
I hope the exact words were used. Those are I'd like to call you into the office to talk about your son, the liar.
Captain Benioff, can you please come in here?
Your son says that he's you're a submarine commander. We all know that you're a terrible banker trying to kill everybody. Now, is he crazy or stupid? Maybe he should be a writer. That'll be the way to get all this nonsense that he's coming out without. If not, you could just give him money and maybe he'll shut up. But he's really annoying in class right now. Can you do something about that?
Would a teacher really care? Like, would they care that much to bring their fucking parents in? Because all they know that's either true. For a start, your fucking family can be anywhere while your father's stationed wherever in the world. You don't need to live near where your father's going to be stationed.
It's still a funny thing to say for a kid.
It's a strange story. It's just weird.
I guess he was bored. I don't know. It's because grade school.
Welcome, Mr. Friedman. This is about your son, the liar.
They can't have just called his parents in for that. There must have been something else.
He said pathological liar, so he's frequently said I imagine that he was lying very frequently.
He says that he's a submarine commander, and even worse, he's lying. He says that he's a writer.
Oh no.
The boy can't write. He's dangerous.
He's too dangerous to be kept alive.
Here's a super chat from Mike Testa. Okay, cool. Recchietta Law confirmed no racism at play. Please stop. Did he analyze?
Racism confirmed.
I guess. I don't know.
They worked together.
Oh, Recchietta.
For like 7 years.
Nick Recchietta. Recchietta Law confirmed that no racism was at play. Okay, so yeah, he looks into this stuff. That he's a lawyer. He's an actual lawyer on YouTube.
Lies. Lies. Your son, the lawyer.
He has a lot of enemies who try to debunk that or whatever, but he's an actual lawyer.
It's like if that scene was in Ireland, it'd be like, I'd like to talk to you about your son, the lawyer.
My son's a lawyer.
He's a liar. He's a lawyer. So.
What are you saying? He's good at law? No, he's a lawyer, sir.
He's a dirty fucking lawyer.
He tells
He's a
untruths.
dirty fucking liar.
He tells untruths while he reads his Lucky Charms.
Fucking look at. Yeah, I want to hear somebody go up to somebody in America with like an Irish accent and start dropping like Australian slang.
Oh dear.
Like, shrimp on the barbie. Top. Instead of saying top of the morning. Sorry, I don't know.
Good day, mate.
Good day, mate. Shrimp on the barbie and bums your mum.
I've certainly been watching too much Tri-Channel of the Irishmen doing, or Irish people really, eating random things. It's been quite entertaining how the Irish appreciate Canadian and was it American sweets and all sorts of other things. Very entertaining. I like it. But very.
You know what the Irish are? A funny bunch of fuckers they are.
Oh, they're fun. There's some that are really good at drinking, and there's some that are really good at not drinking. So, and for some reason,
I'm both good and bad at drinking.
Yeah, they hate peanut butter. I don't know why. Peanut butter is amazing, but they hate it. So
I don't like peanut butter.
yeah, I get that. I get that a lot from Europeans. They just don't like peanut butter. It's strange.
I'm
fucking disgusting.
Like Marmite.
Racist. That not liking peanut butter is just plain racist. Okay.
I'm kind of Irish anyway, so I mean that's kind of a given.
But everyone loves
don't like
Guinness.
peanuts.
Everyone loves Guinness.
I'm not a big fan of. I don't like peanuts or peanut butter, but even so, I think that's a better story than the ending of Game of Thrones.
Last time I had Guinness, it just tastes like water to me.
Wow. Wow. Do not say that.
It has no flavor. Sir, have you been drinking Guinness as water this whole time?
It's like water. Come on. Have another.
You know what Guinness is made out of? It's made out of penguins. You boil them up, all the white feathers, they float to the top.
Guinness is
just
is like a national treasure there.
Fake accents. Just like Game of Thrones for the Game of Thrones Smudcast, everybody will just do fake accents.
Yeah, that'd be wonderful.
You can do what is it? What's his name? The dwarf, not his character name, his the actor name.
Peter Dinklage.
Peter Dinklage. Yeah, you can do the fake Peter Dinklage English accent.
Oh, that works out well. I could love to do that one.
I can't even remember how to do it now. I don't.
It's very. It's received, obviously, the superior one, but it's very funny to listen to the different accents and hear some accents be put on by Americans, and it's not quite the same.
I want to point out that a lot of the accents I hear from Americans are fucking shit. And again, I can't complain because so am I.
Yeah, that's the difference though. Glib, for some reason, is really good at them.
Mm-hmm.
I have a weird brain for that.
What Gibbs, man?
He's good at voices.
The thing is, Guinness goes really good. Guinness is really good in milkshakes.
I had a Guinness milkshake the other day with chocolate.
They're really good.
Whoa,
really good.
guys! That would get you excommunicated in certain countries. Okay, you got to watch that.
Yeah, but you know what? Maybe we should annex those countries. Yeah,
in America, you could do whatever.
I'm an American. As soon as they exile me from a country, I take it over. Put in a new leader. They're being commies.
Like we're just
boys.
We're really progressive over here. We're really open-minded, and we just make things better.
And we have milkshakes.
Now you just have to try Marmite milkshakes.
Okay, that's far enough, sir. You will shut your mouth.
Yes,
all right, everybody get your Guinnesses, and we'll get back to business.
Okay.
Heaviness is, I think the heaviness for me is when I actually have to write. Like thinking of the ideas is fun for me. It's the actual writing part that's painful.
Arya Stark ran out of that castle.
I actually agree. It is a painful experience, but that's the point. It has to be hard if it's going to be good.
Mm-hmm.
The battle
that's what she said.
Going towards some purpose.
Sure.
We don't know what until it happens.
We hope to kind of avoid the expected, and Jon Snow has always been the hero, the one who's been the savior, but it just didn't seem right to us for this moment.
Why not? You can't just say it didn't seem right. You build him up as the hero. He's supposed to be the hero, but it just didn't seem right. Why exactly?
It didn't seem. We built him up to be the hero, but it didn't seem right for him to be the hero. Oh, really?
It's a I don't know. That's
Yeah.
2 + 2 is 4, but I don't know. It just doesn't look good.
Yeah.
Sorry, Mr. Sir, are you a retard?
What's wrong with hero characters? What's wrong with having good guys and bad guys? I don't understand. Did we surpass that?
They just kind of rewrite things impulsively. For instance, they filmed a Cersei miscarriage scene for season 7 that they cut out and rewrote. Also, there's evidence based on the DVD commentary that the fire was originally that was burning King's Landing was wildfire, not dragonfire. They just recolored it in the edit. And they were doing CGI 4 weeks before the finale. Middle of May.
I'm realizing we're having a bunch of cocktails listed in the chat there. I don't know what's going on. There's a super chat. Lenny
whiskey being added to Guinness.
Whiskey plus Guinness. Oh boy, that's dangerous. Okay.
That's playing with fire.
Yeah. Well, you could be ruining everything. Yeah, it could be good, could be bad. I don't know. I have had beer cocktails, but not a Guinness cocktail before.
It's excellent.
That's good. That's good to know.
Dollop of Marmite in
I'm not
there.
sure about that.
No.
I'm definitely as soon as this stream ends, gonna go and get a Guinness and put some chocolate ice cream in there and drink it outside because that is just a great combination.
Guinness float.
I've heard of Guinness floats. I don't know about them though. I haven't tried.
I would like dark beer is the only beer float that's worth trying. Any light beer float, look at that person with great suspicion.
I think the only major beer cocktail I had was Fusilli, which is this strawberry Italian fruity drink, combined with delirium tremens.
That's weird.
Yeah, no, it's very sweet.
I love delirium tremens. That's very nice.
And you combine the two. It's actually called Fusilium. It's really good. It's actually really good. But delirium tremens by itself is fantastic. So, and not to say Guinness is not bad. Guinness is great. Guinness is a stout, but it's like 4.25 or something. It's very light, so you can have a few of them.
Yes.
But delirium is like
dark beer. It's heavy. Yeah.
It's a Tripel. It's a Trappist ale. It's pretty strong. It's about 10%.
Those are always so expensive to get a really good Belgian Trappist or whatever it is.
Yes, Trappist ales. Yeah.
So hard to get that for cheap. The bottles are expensive. They only come in 4-packs, and
and they're done in the Belgian champagne style. So you're basically buying champagne. It's so super bubbly and a very fine carbonation. So even with La Trappe, Pirat, like they're all really nice carbonation. So they put a lot of effort into them.
I would definitely advise everybody that's of drinking age, if they have a chance, to try some real mead. And because of the Game of Thrones stuff that we're talking about,
they actually have good beers. I haven't tried them. My brother has, and they're really nice. They did a good job.
Yeah. So I enjoy the mead as a drink. Like, you know how wine is a different kind of feeling, a different kind of drunk than a beer, or if you're drinking scotch or vodka or whatever. The mead variety of that is very interesting. So I wonder if the honey wine type stuff that they were drinking back in the day produced a certain type of atmosphere. I think it would be very interesting for that kind of culture to come back. I wonder how rowdy it would be if everybody was drinking mead in the pub instead of whatever, Pabst Blue Ribbon.
That's a jump. Holy.
Give me a Pabst Blue Ribbon, yeah, for sure.
That is like, there's a list of like 10 or 12, probably more than that, of cheap American lagers. And I think Pabst is like in the top 10. It's just so weak.
You mean Patrick Bateman Reserve?
Patrick.
I wish.
Oh right, that was our movie night. That was our movie night. Our next video, I think.
Yeah, let's watch American Psycho.
Oh dear.
Yeah, let's do that. I'm down for that. That's one of my favorite movies.
Here's a wonderful. Here's a wonderful super chat from Lenny the Shark. Thank you, sir. U.S. greater than sign U.K. and EU. Parentheses fact. Parentheses closed.
Well, I mean, you can't argue with the facts. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. We're not right now, so I think in state of affairs, Europe is slightly better than America's current state of affairs.
Yep.
Nah.
We're not on fire.
I would argue the sterling is probably of higher value than the U.S. dollar. Yes. So
fire is cool. Fire is
It's
awesome.
the pound has always been worth more than the dollar.
it's cool etiquette.
It's cool, Annie.
Was it
It's so much cooler over here. We got so much fire. Fire is cool.
Euro has always been slightly more than the dollar, and the pound has always been slightly more than the euro.
Well, the pound used to be a lot more expensive than the euro and the dollar, but then it went down after the whole Brexit. After like the whole Brexit vote, it went down because no one knew what the fuck was going up. Then it went up again, and then it went down again.
Isn't it like $1.4 equals a pound or something like that?
There's something like that.
Yeah.
Okay, the pound is the GoBots to the American dollar's Transformers. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, the entire world still uses dollars for a reason.
That's a good question. I wonder what that reason is. Oil? I don't know.
I think it's quite a
because it's cool. The dollar just looks so cool.
I think it's just currency. It doesn't rise and fall as dramatically. It still does, but not so sharply.
Originally, it was based off the gold standard, and that got dropped in 1971, the Bretton Woods Act. So that's when the changes and fluctuations began. But yeah, no, it is usually the reserve currency of the world, and it's tied. It's now pretty much tied to oil. We don't know about gold, and the sterling was based off, I think, sterling silver or what have you. So I don't know all the currencies of the world, but yeah, it's usually America is the standard. So
yeah, fair.
Anyway, that was one quick little video. That was kind of fun. I think it's kind of terrifying and fascinating to watch an interview.
The mind of a man.
It's.
My favorite part is when he admitted he was a sociopath, like a pathological liar,
yeah,
and a narcissist. That was a pretty interesting part of the video.
It's a strange thing to brag about. Hey, look, I'm a pathological liar.
When I was a kid, I lied like crazy to my parents, and I got in trouble. It's like, oh, Jesus, that's not good. Okay. So,
but he got better. I totally got better.
Yeah, he started to write stories that were fictional and got away with it. Yeah, that's fantastic. All right, we might do some more. I mean, we could do the next one next week. That might be fun. I don't know if you guys want to keep doing this. They're not hard. They're not long. Apparently, Dunn thinks they get better. So,
like,
don't trust Dunn.
Dunn, stop lying.
What gets better? Like the insanity of his thoughts.
Well, the videos themselves, they become more illuminating and interesting to.
Oh yes, they do.
Okay, so we're gonna do another one next week or whenever we have our next one. If you guys have any other suggestions for videos, I have a long list that we go through and we vote on. But please do leave them in the suggestions comment of our Discord. We appreciate that. You can do it in the comment section of this video once it starts processing. Thank you, everyone, for joining. I was not expecting a full house, but I do appreciate it. I know everyone's busy and has their own things to do, and the world's kind of crazy right now. But thanks for tuning in. And hopefully we'll get Southpaw next time, and we're going to talk more about video games. I think he was streaming today. I didn't get a chance to jump in his stream. But he was playing some multiplayer The Last of Us in honor of everything going on.
He was playing some multiplayer Last of Us outside in real life.
Yeah.
Everything's burning and there's plague.
And his microphone's still cutting out.
Yeah. Latency issues.
My suggestion, everybody get a Guinness, get some ice cream. And then go back and watch the good parts with Tywin Lannister and just pretend that you are in charge of, what is it? The Seven Kingdoms of Westeros.
Small Council was fun. I like the Small Council.
And then when you start to get drunk, that's when you switch over and start watching the Robert Baratheon parts.
A spin-off comedic series about the Small Council. It's like kind of like The Office. It'd be like a
the small council.
Yeah. Like, what's that guy doing over there? That guy's always talking to me behind my back.
Yeah.
It's gonna be Littlefinger and a buddy cop thing with Littlefinger and
Spider.
Varys.
Oh yeah, Varys. Yeah.
I was like, I swear, if Littlefinger does not let off, I'm going to make all of the whorehouses illegal.
Littlefinger was spying on me. I got to get back those. I got to get back the security tapes he took of me.
I'm going to say he's a witch.
I'm gonna say he's a witch. I feel like, oh man, I would love to know, and maybe we'll talk about this next week, because most of this time I was just listening. But I'd love to know what Benioff likes about writing and story. Maybe I missed that.
The parts of writing that not concerning writing.
So
right.
So I think he likes being unexpected. Not even like subverting expectations. He just kind of likes random. And like his video on about called Austin Film Fest on avoiding predictable ending. That's not David Benioff himself. That's Dragon Demands kind of explaining him based on his own quotes.
Benioff probably is writing when it's done for him.
Well, actually, that's the interesting thing. They were told to hire other writers by HBO, and they told, "Hey, how about our coffee boy?"
What?
I kid you not. Brian Cogman was their coffee boy, essentially. And they made him an exec producer when HBO was told them to get writers that were experienced and qualified. And they just said, oh, why not Brian? He's smart.
Okay, the only thing I'm learning right now so far is that if you want to make it big, start off as a coffee guy. Like, start off as someone who delivers the big guy's coffee, and you'll eventually be running entire production companies.
Does that make sense? Like, there's one thing to hire a guy for a writer out of the blue, but to be an executive?
Yeah, let me pull up. Let me get the video for you. It's 15 minutes long. It's basically Brian Cogman explaining both the writing process that goes into Game of Thrones and how he got hired. It is so shocking.
That could be a whole other video. I mean, that's a lot to process.
Yeah, Brian Cogman.
I don't want to hold you guys any further because we could do this another day, no problem. So it's totally fine.
But okay. Oh wait, it's only 9 minutes actually, and it's basically just an interview for a writing thing.
Okay, well, Dunn, let's totally take a look at that next time because I know we said our goodbyes and we're gonna get going.
No problem.
But you always show me a list of these things. I'm like, I don't know which one to watch, man. There's so many. So thanks again, guys. We'll see you soon and take it easy. Stay inside.
Alrighty.